Hello, my name is Madendra Rostan, and my metric number is 103116. Today we are looking at the case of Sydney. By observing her behavior and emotional patterns, we can break down her personality into three key areas. First, Sydney is a classic introvert, where she gains her energy from solitude and naturally prefers a quiet environment over high stimulation social settings. She also reserved and emotionally private. She rarely shares her feelings, which she values her privacy and perhaps finds vulnerability difficult. Finally, she exhibits social anxiety. She feels a heightened sense self-consciousness and fear of being evaluated negatively when in large groups. Point 2. Behaviors and emotional patterns. City use avoidance as a coping mechanism. By staying away from large gatherings, she reduces her exposure to anxiety triggers. In group settings, she experienced significant stress, which likely stems from a lack of communication, confidence, or fear of judgment. Her last uh, behavior is her limited emotional expression often leads to communication gaps. Even with close friends, this struggle can cause feeling of isolation or simple misunderstanding. Thank you.
Now that we have looked at Siti's behavior, let's explore the possible factors influencing her personality. First is her biological temperament. Personality research shows that introversion is partly biological, meaning Siti may simply have a natural preference for peace and quiet reflection, which heavily shapes her behavior. Second, we have to consider her past experiences. It is possible that Siti has faced social discomfort or rejection in the past. Negative experience such as being ignored or embarrassed in group setting could have reinforced her current avoidance of social situations. To understand Siti's case on a deeper level, we can apply the Big Five personality traits model. This framework identifies five broad personality dimensions. When we apply this to City, a clear profile emerges. She demonstrates low extraversion, which explains why she prefers solitude and avoid large gatherings. She also shows moderate agreeableness, as she still values harmony and successfully maintains a few close friendships. Additionally, she possibly has higher neuroticism, which is reflected in her discomfort and anxiety within group settings.
My name is Stephen Fenley, and my matrix number is 106447. So, for my part of reflection video, I will explain 2 from 4, the theory that we have chosen for this scenario 3. So, for the second theory that we will choose in this scenario, is social anxiety theory. So basically, this theory arises from a strong fear of negative evaluation, which is the belief that others will judge, criticize, or reject you. So how can this apply to situation? So for the first one is we clearly can see that she trying to avoid large group, which show that she feels being judged or embarrassed. She also uncomfortable speaking in groups, which matching with the theory prediction of anxiety in group communication. She also keep thoughts to herself, which a common protective strategy to avoid criticism, and also she struggled to express emotion openly even though with her close friend, which is emotional restraint is common in social anxiety, as showing a vulnerability may feel risky. So this avoidance of group, difficult expressing emotion and fears of rejection perfectly align with classic symptom of social anxiety. So this theory also explains both her behavioral patterns and her internal struggles. So the second theory is psychodynamic theory. So basically this theory is personality and behavior that are shaped by unconscious conflict, early childhood experience, and defense mechanism. So how this theory can be applied with this situation is we can see that uh, City use her emotional restraint as a defense mechanism. We can see her difficulty in expressing emotion may be explained by repression, unconsciously pushing feelings out of awareness to avoid conflict or rejection. Besides that, we also can see that she also avoid of group because of unconscious fear. This can be shown by discomfort in social gathering, uh, may stem from unresolved childhood experience. Apart from that, it also this also maybe because reserved nature shaped by her past experience. So if emotional expression may discouraged in childhood, this superego may have internalized restricts role about not showing feeling, which leading her ego to use avoidance and repression. So basically, this psychodynamic theory explains deeper roots of city behavior, not just current anxiety, but how past experience and unconscious process shape her personality. Her reserved natures and difficulty with emotional expression can be seen as outcome of internal conflict between her desire for connection, fear of rejection, and coping strategies. So that is for my part of reflection video. Thank you.
Hello, greeting. My name is Ignatius Magnester Anna Nicholas, metric number 110187. So, I'll be explaining about humanistic theory by Carl Rogers. What is humanistic theory? Carl Rogers explains that humanistic theories are focuses on self-concept, personal growth, and that need for a conditional positive regard. Well, these are links to City's conditions due to she has a limited emotional expressions which may indicate a gap between her real self, which is introvert and private, and her ideal self, which is more socially confident. And this also may lead to emotional suppression due to she is growing up in an environmental lacking acceptance. And why is it fit? It's because humanistic theory explains the struggle as a mismatch between self-perceptions and external expectations, suggesting growth through supportive relationships and self-acceptance. But there's some way where she can learn how to improve her self-expressions among his other friends. For example, they can do gradual exposure, which are instead of forcing herself into a large gatherings group, City can start with smaller safe groups, such as talking in pairs or maybe small groups, and this may reduce anxiety step by step. For example, in university, she could begin by sharing her opinions in a group of 3 to 4 classmates before attempting to speak in a lecture hall. Over time, this builds confidence without overwhelming her. And the second one is journaling or creative outlets. Journaling or creative outlets means writing down thoughts or using art or music helps her express her emotions privately first. This makes it easier to later share with her trusted friends. For example, City could keep a daily journal where she writes about her feelings when comfortable. She can share selected entries with her close friends, helping her practice emotional openness. And for the third one, City can join a structured confidence building activities, which is a safe and guided environment which allow her to practice her communications without fear of harsh judgment. For example, she can participate in classroom presentations where the lecturer provides supportive feedback, or joining a small interest-based clubs such as a book club where discussions are informal and less intimidating. I will pass down my presentation to our next presenter.
My name is Ergafenel Anna Adrian with metric number 103097. The first strategy is called CBT, which stands for Cognitive Behavior Techniques. Basically, CBT helps a person notice when they are thinking negatively and when change that thought into something more positive and realistic. For CT, She might often thinks like everyone will judge me or I'm going to embrace myself. CBT teach her to stop and replace the stop with something like I've prepared for this and I can do it. For example, before the group discussion, instead of panicking, Siti reminds herself that she is ready and it's okay to share her idea. The second strategy is role play or rehearsal. This simply means practicing before the real things, just like how we rehearsal before presentations. Doing it beforehand makes it feel much less scary. For Siti, she could practice speaking in front of the mirror or rehearsal with the close friends before she has to present in class. The more, the more she practices, the more comfortable she becomes. Helps her feel prepared instead of anxious. And for the next part is support that might help. The first support is encourage her from close friend who City already trusts that can make a big difference. They can gently include her in conversations. Maybe just by asking, "Hey City, what do you think?" without putting much pressure on her. This gives her safe space to practice and speak up around the people she already comfortable with. The second support is university counseling service. A counselor is trained to be a professional who can guide Siti through her anxiety in private and a supportive setting. They can teach her breath technique and calm down before social event, or work with her on changing her negative thought pattern through CBT sessions. So this not just about talking, it's about the learning real tool to help her cope. That's all for me. Thank you.